What's going on, guys? This is Joe Young. Finally back from my vacation. I actually took a week trip to Tokyo. I actually been to Tokyo a long time ago, about 10 years ago actually, study abroad, and you know, I went back there just because the family and the wife hasn't gone and wanted to check it out. So while I was over there, I actually went and saw a couple aquarium shops, and I actually went to an aquarium over there, so I wanted to share a couple of those things with you. Today's clip is going to be mainly on the Sumida Aquarium. So the aquarium itself is actually pretty small. So actually when I went inside and saw the very first aquarium, I quickly realized that this was the same aquarium that Takashi Amano from ADA helped kind of aquascaped, like one of his larger creations or build. And you know, your first entrance to the aquarium, literally you're covered with so many nice like aquascaped and crazy planet tanks. It's like one of the cleanest setups that I've ever seen in my life. The tanks were ginormous and the plants were so lush. Each tank had like at least like 6 or more lights like stacked on top of each other, but yet there was no algae in the tank at all. Like, it was really nicely balanced. The plants were super lush. Like, they really knew how to maintain and keep these aquariums nice and clean. After the shock factor of realizing that I'm actually in the aquarium that Takashi Amano actually helped create, you know, I actually just stumbled across this aquarium. I wasn't planning to go to this aquarium. It was literally next to the Tokyo Skytree. We were going up to, you know, the observation deck just to kind of see the city, and we're like, oh, you know, there's an aquarium here. Like, let's go check it out. It's totally worth it. I think it was like $20-something per person to go in. Totally worth it. Like, the aquariums in here were gorgeous. Like, it's super inspirational. Like, for a planet tank person, definitely need to check it out. You know, with large aquariums, like, you have to kind of put perspective of some of these plants and how like it takes to grow these plants here. Like, the carpeting on the tanks here is like, it's ridiculous. Like, the carpet goes for days. And then if you look at the livestock, normally, you know, you would have like maybe a dozen or so like fish in here. Because the tank is so big, you literally have like hundreds of these shrimps everywhere, these little nano fishes, and then like SAEs. There's at least like, you know, 24 SAEs in here just to help contain like the algae growth that's possibly in the tank, which is like really hard to see if there's any. As you move past the actual first entry of the planet tank area, you quickly realize that this aquarium specializes in jellyfish. Literally, the next section of the aquarium is all jellyfish, all different types of jellyfish, a bunch of nano jellyfishes, baby jellyfishes, different cycles, scales. Literally, they have a guy sitting there kind of like in a lab taking care of these baby jellyfish, or kind of like feeding them and just kind of doing tests or whatever he's doing. But literally, it's so cool. Like, every tank in here has a different species of jellyfish, and I think that this aquarium itself specializes, you know, in jellyfish, because literally they're everywhere. Moving on to the next section of the aquarium, it has a bunch of these different types of nano setups with kind of different designs or architect that you kind of see like out in like a building structure, or kind of like an. It's almost like they built these cube nanos with a abstract design where some of them is like crazy, out of this world. Like, it's not really ideal for fish keeping, but like just to have it in like a glass container and just kind of look at the different shapes, I think is pretty unique. And then as you pass the abstract section of the aquarium, you move into several large saltwater setups. And there's also a penguin. Exhibit on the side or in the bottom there. But the actual big tank has some really nice big fish in here. And actually, there was like a scuba diver in there feeding the fish while I was filming. And as you move on to some of these larger tanks, man, these reef tanks are huge. Literally, like, these rocks that they have in here took like a third of the tank. Like, I don't think it needed to be that big, but they were recreating like specific sections of like the reef, sections of what, you know, nature would look like. So I thought it was pretty cool. These different tanks had corals. Some of them had like a different like shallow setup. And as we move further down the actual tank setups here, they actually had one tank literally set up for these weird looking fish that would kind of just peek out of the sand, and they're literally just scattered everywhere. And the whole tank is just little guys peeking out of the little hole here and just kind of waiting for food. I thought that was kind of interesting and funny. And then the last saltwater tank that they had ginormic, I'm talking about huge fish. There's one bluefish. I'm not exactly sure of the species, but literally that fish was huge. It took literally up the whole tank. But also like the rocks here, I felt like they could have probably removed some of this rock. Couldn't actually fit through some of these areas because it was so big. I think that, you know, maybe they could have removed a section of it, and I think that would have kept, you know, some of these bigger fish a little bit more happy. They also had like a few little sharks up in front here. They were just kind of sleeping and chilling next to each other. I thought that was pretty cool. And all of that was actually on the second floor. So as you make your way down to the first floor, you see a huge aquarium with penguins. You know, they're just kind of waiting to be hand fed. And also another section to that had seals. I don't remember actually getting some of those. But also on the first floor, they actually had a bunch of other different types of setups for freshwater fish. More kind of like shallow, with driftwood only. And then they had a section dedicated for just different types of goldfish. So obviously Japan actually keeps a lot of goldfishes, and they actually had several different species of goldfishes, mainly the fancy type of goldfish. And you know, they actually had a tank filled with just common goldfish, which I thought was pretty unique, which I thought was pretty cool because, you know, you have your own different goldfish. And they had a tank that was pretty cool where it made it look like the whole tank didn't exist because the water will overflow over the tank, and it made it seamless. But overall, I thought this aquarium had to be by far one of the cleanest aquariums. Not only just like cleanness in terms of like the smell of the aquarium, it actually did not smell at all, especially with the penguins. Normally penguins are pretty dirty and they actually smell pretty bad, but the aquarium actually smelled really fine, like actually perfectly fine, where it was like a normal place. The other thing is the setups were super clean, especially the planet tanks. Like a lot of the aquariums I've gone to, at least, they didn't have any of the planet tanks nearly as good as you know, this place here. A lot of the aquariums I've gone to, they would use fake plants and whatnot. I have not seen a single fake plant in this whole aquarium. They use, you know, real plants, and literally the setups are gorgeous. So if you guys are in the Tokyo area, so definitely check out the Sumida Aquarium. It's right next to Tokyo Skytree, so if you guys are going there to kind of check out, you know, the observation deck anyways, like literally it's right next door. Go ahead and check it out. Like, it's worth the money, worth the commission. It's actually one of the best aquariums I've gone to, even though it doesn't have as many tanks or things to show. But I think quality over quantity is a given here in this actual video. Alright guys, I hope you guys enjoyed this mini tour of this aquarium while I was in Tokyo. I do have another kind of tour with a aquarium store, so I'll make that video separate, so definitely check that out when it's uploaded. But like always, until next time guys, peace.